Welcome back, Survive Outdoors. Today we're going to be talking about what the media has actually been going nuts about, which is a reality. Of course, they're going to add some drama and flair, but the water temperatures are rising, and big time. Worst ever in the history of recorded temps. And with that, we're going to get an increase in bacterial infections from wounds, from fishing, swimming, even just getting water to filter it and you bang your hand on a rock or whatever. So wounds and injuries are in the water, freshwater lakes and saltwater are going to give you some injuries. And there are a lot of bugs and critters in the water that are specific to certain infections, and we need to discuss that. The SST anomaly, the sea to surface anomaly, is when that gradient, that water temperature, air temperature gradient is jacked up. And when it's positive, it's really high, and it really is very high right now. Especially they've been focusing on Florida, but it's not just Florida. It's even any freshwater lake in the U.S., North America, Canada, Mexico, anywhere in the world, those water temperatures are rising. And when they do, they make a perfect environment for the bacteria and the count to go up. Now, one of the ones that's really made the news in dramatic fashion, and it does every year, and we did a video on it, and I'll put that at the end, is Naglieri fowleri, and that one is the one, the brain-eating amoeba. And it's deadly. It's very, very rare. You get water up your nose, especially like severe pressure, water skiing, jumping off a boat that's going fast, and you can get this. I don't remember, it's one in so many, like a million. I don't remember the exact stats. I'll put that video at the end, but it can be very concerning and dangerous. That's why the media is eating that up. On a more common occurrence are just your everyday wounds. I've had probably half a dozen already this year, from kids jumping out of a boat and banging their leg on the boat and they get a wound and they continue to swim, a catfish sting, all kinds of different things that are going to cause pretty intense infections. Remember, have your tetanus updated. It's good for 7 to 10 years. That's imperative, especially if you're an outdoor person and love the outdoors. I'm going to put up here some of the most common bacterial infections, and I'm going to show you a little pic of a couple of them. One of the most common is Aeromonas, and that is this slide, which tells you nothing. It's a microscopic slide. But that's what this critter is. And this one is really common for wounds anywhere on your body. If you get a abrasion past your skin, you can get this infection. Like non-venomous snakes. This one here is a broad-banded water snake. And non-venomous snakes, and I've said this before, can give you one hell of an infection. And the reason why that is you have to think of the animal's diet. There's all these videos on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and YouTube about, you got these guys picking up these non-venomous snakes and, oh, look, it's biting me, and they got blood everywhere, and it's like, oh, look how macho I am. The snake doesn't want to be picked up. And the banded water snakes, for the most part, are a pretty aggressive creature. They don't like getting, and they bite. Well, what's their diet? Frogs, fish. And there you go. And so what do you have as far as bacteria? Aeromonas and other critters, saliva, and now you have one hell of an infection going on. I've treated a lot of non-venomous snake bites that get infected. Now this snake is a garter snake that was in my backyard, and this little guy has a lower risk. It's still a risk, especially if he's eating mice and white-footed mice. Like, they're going to get you an infection. They can, all right? But it's a very non-aggressive snake. And I'll post that down below in terms of the videos that I have on non-venomous snake bites. Catfish stings. We're going to do a video on that. There is so much controversy on this, it's pathetic. When I was growing up, way down in southern Illinois, every weekend in the summer, it wasn't fishing. It was almost like commercial fishing with my dad. 100 hook trot line, bank poles. We would catch, honestly, 100, 110, 120 catfish, and it was cleaning catfish for hours. We were stocking up for the winter. I would get stung, spiked by catfish in my youth 20 to 50 times. Sometimes I would get an infection. I'm going on the record, and I'm sure I'm going to get some issues on this. The freshwater catfish in North America, the US of A, your channel cat, your blue cat, your flathead, are not venomous. Not venomous. Now, there's around 1,200 to 2,000 catfish species in the world that are venomous and have venom glands at the base of the barb. But I'm here to tell you, does it hurt like hell? Yes. You're going to see an article from different people if you search it, and you're going to find that I was in the hospital for a week. It was definitely venomous. No, you were in the hospital for a week because its spine was a puncture wound with a high risk of infection on puncture wounds, and you got Aeromonas, you got Vibrio, you got some other bacteria that caused one hell of an infection and probably needed IV antibiotics because it was a puncture wound. Puncture wounds are a pain in the butt to treat. They are high infection rate. So no, and we will do a video at some point on catfish stings. Side note, if you get stung by a catfish and you rub it on the catfish belly, you might as well rub Buddha's belly, all right? It does just about as much good. And you don't believe me? That's fine. I'm just giving you the heads up, the scientific truth. Do what you will with it. Another one is Pseudomonas, Vibrio, which you're going to see, and Mycobacteria. Mycobacteria is in the family of TB, and if you get that organism, you're going to need treatment for a month or 2 months. That's a tough one to treat. So what are we looking at? We're looking at things like brackish water, where salt water meets fresh water, stagnant water, where it just sits. But even streams can cause these infections. Abrasions, getting stuck with a fish hook, like this guy here. When I took his fish hook out, he was at a higher risk. And these individuals, if you have a fish hook puncture wound, if you have an autoimmune problem, if you're a diabetic, if you have a compression injury where you get, your trailer hitched in the water, or your hand gets smashed, these individuals, you need to have prophylactic antibiotics, especially if you're in the outdoors and you're hiking and you're 3 or 4 days of getting back and you happen to have some, like I've told you, in your backpack, and you're not going to be back for 3 or 4 days, you really should start the antibiotic. Really important to hit those organisms. So what antibiotics? For my providers out there. So for salt water, I lean towards doxycycline, and I have had venomous catfish stings come in. They've traveled abroad and came back, and they were fishing, and that's what happened. For your other ones that I just talked about, those, I like starting with the cephalosporin plus a quinolone. So again, this is from my medical providers. That combo is really on target for prophylactic until you can get a culture and send it out. And if you can't, you're going to do fine if you double up and have a close follow-up. On wounds, like I got a small wound here where a blister peeled off, that could get infected. But on major wounds and you're in the outdoors, I don't suggest you close those tightly. Don't even close them at all sometimes. If you've been in the water and you get a major wound, my advice is you can wrap it. Sometimes it makes sense to put a little gauze in it and then close it. A lot of times, even in the clinic, if I got a big wound and I know they've been in the water, and sometimes I'll just close it halfway, put a drain, put some gauze, and let it heal over time and have them have a close follow-up. So you got to be really careful, especially nowadays with the sea to surface anomaly and the water temps going up. Holy cow, it's getting ugly. So in closing, we're talking about increased infections due to increased water temperatures and an increase in colonization of bacteria and an increased chance of an infection. If you're in the water, you have a chance, wash off afterwards. If you have a wound, make sure you clean and irrigate it well. You can do a topical bacitracin if you want, but if you're 4 or 5 days out and you happen to have some of those antibiotics like I've talked to in some of the previous videos, then you can go ahead and start those if you're not allergic. My point being is that if you're 4 or 5 days from getting out, you got to do what you got to do. That's what's important here. And we got to pay attention with those waterborne illnesses for wounds, not just what we ingest. Anymore, we got to be safe, guys. Enjoy the outdoors. Keep your eyes on the rise and your face to the wind. We'll see you next time.